Hello and welcome to another episode of our series, Dasher Stories, presented in partnership with DoorDash. On the show, we're featuring different students from around the country who are delivering food to you with DoorDash. And on today's episode, we are chatting to Karri. Karri, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks.
Now, Karri, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, where are you based and what are you studying right now?
I'm currently based in St Kilda, Melbourne. I'm studying a Bachelor of Design and a Bachelor of Media and Communication at Swinburne University.
So how far into your degree are you now?
I've actually just graduated as of December last year, so
Oh,
officially
awesome.
finished.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Now, let's talk about like your Dasher story. So how long have you been dashing for?
I actually started doing it last year, like the beginning of last year, just mainly as a way to just get some extra money and especially with today's cost of living. It was just super helpful to get just a little bit extra in the account each week.
Yeah, for sure. And why did you decide to start dashing as well? Like, was there something where you're like, yeah, I want to start doing this? Or was it someone you knew? Like, how did you get started?
Well, I actually do cheerleading as a sport, and if anyone's ever done cheerleading or dance before, you know it's extremely expensive. I was really fortunate enough to get accepted onto an international team to compete in Hawaii, which was
Awesome.
a great
Congrats.
opportunity, and I was really excited for it. However, it costs so much, like super
Mm.
expensive. And while studying and working and doing as many side hustles as I could possibly do, one of my friends actually did it door dashing and she suggested it to me, just as like when you're free, like if you have a couple of hours on the weekend. And it really helped me like get over the line and pay for the trip. Like without it, I probably wouldn't have been able to go.
Oh my God, amazing. Now, when you're dashing as well, Kari, like, what's your vehicle of choice? What's your go-to?
I just use my little trusty car. It's a Holden Astra. Cute little hatchback. Does the job. You know, I've had it since I got my license. Yeah.
And what's one of the first things that you've learned as a dasher so far?
At first, I found it really stressful because it was like you think about when you are on the other end of it and you're ordering food, you're like, oh my God, like get to me as quickly as possible. So when I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, I need to like get there. I need to find a park. I need to get in, get the food, get to the house. And then sometimes like you can't find the house or you can't find the restaurant because like the directions are all weird or the address is weird and you can't find it and no one's replying to your messages. It's like stressful. But overall, it was good.
And what was it like getting started? Like, do you remember when you were like signing up? Was that process quite easy, quite straightforward?
Yeah, I was actually super surprised at how easy it was to do. Like the hardest part was just waiting for the police check, really. Like I was like, oh, I'm keen to go like right now. And then I was like, no, you need to wait 24 hours. And I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, I'm ready now. Like, let me go, let me go.
Yeah.
And how, like, because you mentioned, like, you were studying and you were also doing some other side hustles at the time and you're also doing your cheerleading. Like, how was it balancing dashing with your other commitments that you had going on in your life? Like, did you get the flexibility that you wanted to get to be able to dash as much as you wanted to?
Yeah, well, that's what I really liked about it is that you could pick when you wanted to do it. So, like within my schedule, because obviously I was training a lot at the moment for with cheer and studying and working as well. I had just a general part-time job too. I was like, okay, like I know on Saturdays between like 12 and 3 is a time like it's rush hour lunchtime as well. I'm free. I can do a couple of hours of it and then go drive to my training practices. And then sometimes on certain nights when I would finish training from cheer, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to dash for an hour on the way home. Just be like, if I pick up one or two on the way, like that's money for driving home pretty much. So it was super easy to like work it in where I had the time.
Do you have any wholesome or like any funny kind of stories at all from your time as a dasher?
There's definitely been a few. Let me have a think. I haven't done it as much recently, so it's been a minute. Yeah, there's always those ones where you're like knocking on someone's door and it's the wrong person. And you're like, hi, like I'm here for your food. And they just look at you and they're like, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I went to go to like the door next door or whatever. Or sometimes you'll be dashing like a 3 hour shift or something, and you're going back and forth to the same restaurant like over and over again, and it's the same workers, and they're like, oh, you're back, and I'm like, yep, yep, I'm here. I'm
Me
still
again.
working. Yeah.
And have you, well, like, speaking of like restaurants that you go to and stuff like that, like, have you discovered any good food that you've picked up because of an order that you picked up from somewhere new or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It made me realize how many food places I actually have in my general area where I live. Like some of them I was like, oh my God, like this is such a cool looking place, or like a cool bar like nearby. I'm like, oh, maybe we can like check that out with my friends, or they had really good deals there or something that I never even would have thought to go down that specific road or that street to look for food. So it was really cool in that way.
When you were talking about balancing like your dashing with your other commitments, did you find there were certain times or anything that you particularly enjoyed dashing or you felt that you got the most out of?
I typically always did it during like the lunch hour time because that's when I usually was free and I never really got up early enough to do the morning sessions. I also felt safer doing it during the day. Obviously, as like a female, doing it at nighttime can be a little bit more like scary because it's dark and you're going down alleyways of people's houses and stuff and be a bit sketchy. So I felt more comfortable doing it during the day, and I found I got better like orders in a row during the day than at night, which was interesting because maybe it was just a bit more busy, like too busy at night with everyone trying to get on for that dinner peak. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what advice would you give to others who also, at uni, are maybe thinking about picking up dashing?
Just do it. Like, it sounds really like weird at first because you're like, oh, like, do I really want to do that? Like, say, like, oh, I do door dashing, but it's actually like, it's quite fun. And you get to like play music in your car and drive around and find new places that are around you, and you get to make a bit of money on the side. So, no one's going to think you're weird. Like, so many people do it these days. You get comfortable with it after a couple dashes. Like, your first dash is always the most daunting because you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like, am I doing it right? But it's actually so simple. Like, once you do it, like, the user face for the app and everything is great.
Also, you have any like go-to tunes like when you're dashing or anything, or listen to any podcasts or anything while you're driving around?
I usually would just chuck on like Triple J, honestly,
Nice.
because um, you plugging and unplugging your phone all the time because you need your phone with you. So I never just
True.
played my music. I was like, I'm just gonna put the radio on, so I'm gonna turn the car on and off. Like, we're good to go.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karri, and thank you to everyone who's tuned into this episode of Dasher Stories. You can check out more episodes of Dasher Stories here on YouTube or on your favorite streaming platform, and you can learn more about becoming a Dasher on our Dash Campus Hub on our website, studentedge.org, that also holds all our articles, videos, and more. So have a great one, Karri, and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.